Today we're going to discuss about Lando Norris and why everybody started to hate him more often. And so we're going to analyze on about him and this season in progress and and how and how he got into an F1. And so Lando Norris, he's joined McLaren in 2019, partnering with Carlos Sainz, and so people they find him as the next Lewis Hamilton, being the next McLaren champion, which they could develop this car and make him a world champion caliber driver in the future. And so, in the first year, it was a good step. He had a very good relationship, good teammate friendship with Carlos Sainz, and they made good improvements, even though the cars they're powered by Renault, and the car, there's still a massive rebuild going on after a disastrous with reunion with McLaren Honda, and so. And so this kid, uh, he is going to, he's going to be a McLaren long-term future. And so, right now, in the second year, for F1 journey, he scored his very first podium in the second year in F1. And he made a massive push in the final lap where he got the fastest lap, and he pushed in the final lap to get 5 seconds to catch Lewis Hamilton, who has a 5-second penalty for collision. And so Lando Norris and all the people, they felt happy within that Lando got his very first podium, and it was a great day. And so, for next year's, for this year, 2020, he was pretty solid. He made good finishes to show for it. And he's still improving McLaren and finished third in the Constructors' Championship, which that was a very good showing for Lando and Carlos. And so by 2021, things have come into a change where McLaren, they announced that they're going to be switching to Mercedes power unit, ditching Renault engine, and now McLaren, they are back being back as a custom Mercedes again since 2014. So with Lando Norris, it was a very good improvement. He scored 9 top 5 out of the last 10 races, except Spanish Grand Prix where he finished 8th. He got 3 podiums in Imola GP, the Monaco Grand Prix, and the Austria Grand Prix. So it seems it was a very good stepping for Lando. And in the Italian Grand Prix, he gets himself a highest finishing second place behind Daniel Ricciardo, where McLaren secured themselves the first 1-2 finish in over 9 years. Oh well, for Lando, he is getting quicker and quicker. He is getting good progression, and his win could only come for next year. And now in Russia Grand Prix, where unchangeable different conditions, Lando Norris made the last minute qualifying, and he got himself his first ever pole in Formula 1. And he is very quick in that McLaren MCL35M, Where in Russia, at the start, he bottled it at the race start, but but laps later he goes back to P1 again, and now in the final stage of the race, Lando, uh, he was leading ahead of Lewis Hamilton, and the rain was coming very fast, and so Lando, he he's on a desperate motivation, and Will Joseph, his engineer, telling him to box, and Lando saying no, not once but possibly few times, or a couple of times, as he was desperate to try and win his first race while the rain is coming very hard. Lewis pitched first for intermediates while Lando stays out on the slicks, gambled to the finish to win the race, while but as lap later two come by, the rain becoming hitting harder, he goes wide and he lost the race win as a result. And Lando Norris' first race win has completely torn away from his own emotions, because he ignored the team order where he had to box for intermediates, and he couldn't get the job done. Well, for Lando, he could, if he had listened to team order, he probably would win his very first F1 race, and it's a history making for McLaren, winning back-to-back races, but it all taken away by Lando's emotions. But I know he is in his third year and he's young, but Max Verstappen himself would not be that stupid if he was in a McLaren and taking the order. For next year, everything comes to a change, where ground effect cars came in 2022, and Lando Norris, he's carrying McLaren, scoring points regularly. That team was horrendous. I mean, literally average. They lost to Alpine, and the only highlight of the moment for Lando Norris, he finished third in Imola again, because of Charles Leclerc making a mistake in the final sector of the chicane. And so Lando got his one and only podium, and the rest just did nothing. That team were average. And now 2023, the start of the season was horrible in 9 races. Well, except now in Austria, they finished 4th surprisingly, and so by round 10 in British Grand Prix, McLaren, they have brought bigger upgrades heading into their home soil in the McLaren's home race in British Grand Prix, where the team started horribly in the first part of the season, and now by midway of the season, they completely turn around the whole season by gaining second places and finishing better. And by the last half of the 2023 season, Lando Norris, he's getting good finishes, top 5. He got 6 top 5 finishes straight, where he got second, and that's where the memes comes from of Lando no wins, where everyone's keep asking, when is Lando Norris gonna win a race? When? Just when he's gonna win a race? And that's where people criticize Lando, but Lando's not gonna give up without a fight. And so McLaren, they finish 4th in the constructors, in which they made massive improvements after the British Grand Prix. That car came back to life. And Lando finished 6th in the driver's standings. And so Lando, he wants to become a champion. He wants to be the first driver to be Max Verstappen right here. And though 2024, they're making progression, and so the start was okay, and the best finish was an Australian Grand Prix. Basically, after finishing third, and the fan after the race, they said, "When are you gonna win a race, Lando?" And Lando just hits the middle finger. And so I know this way Lando did is bad, but that way there is kind of very funny. I mean, I know he is not basically threatening. I just don't wonder when Lando is ever gonna win a race. And so in China, he finished second yet again. He he, he got 8 top 2 finishes, but Miami Grand Prix, that is where they brought McLaren upgrades. The majority upgrades goes to Lando Norris, while Oscar gets, a little upgrades, while Lando gets more. And it's kind of unfair. Unfair that why Lando gets a better upgrades first, while Oscar gets a little less. Well, in the race, Oscar having a best car until the unlucky safety car, in which Lando stayed out for the longest he can until the safety car came out because of Logan Sargent got taken out by Kevin Magnussen. And so, by that, Lando pitted right moment at the right time. And after the restart, he pulls away from the Red Bull of dominant Max Verstappen, and he pulls away, and Lando Norris, surprisingly, a miracle, Lando Norris, he is now a Formula One race winner for the first time in his career, and everybody was delighted and joyful, knowing that Lando had finally reached the glory. And it doesn't stop there. Imola, in the final stages, Max Verstappen was struggling badly, and Lando was catching ground, and until Lando, he couldn't get Max, but Max survives. In Canada, Lando himself, he was the driver to beat, and an unlucky safety car, he missed the safety car line, and while Max and George Russell pitted first before Lando, he couldn't beat the safety car. He had to stay behind the safety car until he gets to pit, and it was a rainy race, but in the final stages it was dry, and in which that's where I got the trick comes from when I race in the league race, where I had to stay out on track on the time conditions while people pitted for slicks. And so Max and George pitted for slicks, while Lando, he stayed out on track on those intermediates, and he's gaining time on track. The gap was increasing very good. And once now it started to become drier, now the inters now started to fall off. Lando's got a good pit stop, and as soon as he got out of the pits, on the pit exit, the part of the track was wet, while the racing line, it was dry. He tried to get ahead of Max, but he slid, and he couldn't get to Max on time, and so Max survives yet again. Spanish Grand Prix. Also, the same scenario. This time it's on dry. Max was struggling while Lando was pushing, and Lando didn't get to Max Verstappen again. Max survives yet again. In Austria, that's where things are going to boiling point. In the final stages of the race, during the pit stop phases, Max pits first, and Lando wants to follow through. And each pit stops, and the final pit stops of the race, Max pit crew made a mistake, and so Lando he gained on time on Max, and then when Max gains out of the pits and goes on the track, Max made a mistake into turn 4, and though Lando now he caught up to Max again, and this time this is a battle for the race win. And Max, he is very hard to overtake, and Lando, he is aggressive and desperation, and so when Lando trying to make a move and pass Max for the lead, he goes off the track, and he was forced to give the position back, and then a lap later, Max goes off the track also while Lando was on the track, and he was told to give the position but then nothing applied, and then another lap later, this time Max and Lando crashed into each other. Both got as tire punctures. Max got away unscathed, and Lando got the worst of it because of the damaged car. And so Max survived, finished, but Max, he did get the win. He finished 5th, while Lando, he's out of the race. And so the Great British Grand Prix, well, they were battles for McLaren, Mercedes, and Red Bull, Max Verstappen, and so they were trading back and forth, and then that's where now things now comes to hate where it almost comes from, where Lando, he gets to pit first while Oscar stays out on the track, and that's the second time where basically Oscar Piastri, he got screwed out of the race win big time. And I'm sure that McLaren, they are favoring Lando often. And so the final stages, Lando has a chance at winning at British Grand Prix, but when the track started to dry out quite quickly and quite faster, Lewis pit first, and Max, I'd say the same. Lewis was on soft, Max is on hards. Lando, when he made a pit stop, he overshoots his pit box, but he still changes tires anyway. And when he tries to get out of the pits, the pit exit is still damp and wet, and Lando lost the race win as a result. And then when the tires started to fall off quickly, Max took the advantage over Lando on those worn soft, which the tire wear over there is higher. Max got the advantage, and he took the second place from him. And now on to Hungary, and that is where basically now turns into the turning point for the McLaren team and Lando, in which Lando took the pole, he botched the race start again, Oscar took the lead, and Lando's in second. And things were doing okay for the most part. Oscar was dominating, and he was pushed. Both were pushing hard, and by the final pit stops, both McLaren, they're still 1-2. Lando pit first. The McLaren choose Lando to pit first, while Oscar stay out for 2 laps, and Lando, he got the undercut from Oscar Piastri, and so Lando took the lead, and I thought this was the moment Oscar got screwed yet again. But the team McLaren, now they told their team radio to tell Lando to establish the order, and basically what it means is to give the position back to Oscar for the win, and And Lando, he's basically go silent treatment, and he just basically he had no answer. And Lando, he was pushing and damaging his tire, and he's going faster and faster than Oscar. And the team radio tells him that we made this, and then Lando says to McLaren that you should have pit Oscar first, and McLaren tells him we need to we did the stop sequence for the good of the team. Basically, if Lando did comply and give the position back to Oscar, they are both free to race. They can race each other whatever they want, and they could battle out for the win. Sure, both. But Lando, he doesn't want that. And Lando tells him, I'm racing for the championship, so... And the McLaren, Will Joseph says, I'm trying to protect you. I promise I'm trying to protect you. Basically what it means that Lando, he basically, the emotions took over him. Literally, like, if he ignored the order, the McLaren are not going to help him for ignoring the order. Help him for fighting Max for the championship. And then Will Joseph says, the way to win the championship is not by yourself, it's with the team. You're going to need Oscar and you're going to need the team. Please do it now. And as the race ended the safety car at VSC, it's going to make things awkward and embarrassment. And so by a few laps to go of the race, Lando gave up for the race win and Oscar got the win. And so basically, what they're doing is like they don't want a repeat from Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost story, where neither of us is gonna willing to give up the position. They're all gonna race each other for a race win. And so Lando complied. He could get this championship if he had give up the position. And so, by Netherlands, in Dutch Grand Prix, Max took the pole and he botched the race start yet again, and Max took the lead as a result. And then in the laps later, Lando took the lead back, and this time he got it for good, and he pulls away, and he wins Dutch Grand Prix on the fastest lap with the old tires. And when Max Verstappen wins Bahrain or round 2 of the season, Max says simply lovely on the radio when he won Bahrain or Jeddah or something. And Lando, since he won the Dutch Grand Prix, now he makes things personal by mocking Max Verstappen, and Lando said on the radio, well, simply lovely, huh? And that is where basically the Lando Norris hates completely where it comes from. Just complete insulting Max Verstappen in front of the whole crowd by saying those words. And that is where Lando Norris hate comes from entirely. As Lando, he wants to be the first driver to beat Max Verstappen, and he made every point mattered. But Max was way too consistent throughout the whole season. And in COTA, in Texas, Lando took the pole, but yet again, he botched the race start. And that is where it begins another duel between Max and Lando. And Max is not going to make the whole thing easier, as he is very good at defense, completely good at defense. And no matter how hard Lando try, his defense is too good. And so, in the final laps, in turn 12, when he tries or makes the pass to Max Verstappen. He goes off the track. Both Max and Lando goes off the track, and so Lando, he got the worst of it because he passed Max off the track, and so after the and during the steward report, Max Max got the apex, I think, and so Lando, he received a 5-second penalty for passing the driver off track, and he lost the podium. And in Sao Paulo, in Sao Paulo, in a sprint race, I think, in the closing stages, Oscar was ahead of Lando, but then he was given the order to Oscar that he had to give up the sprint race win to Lando Norris as basically the championship is start to close in. But when it comes to the main race, however, that is where everything started to change, as the rain came and Lando starts on pole. Max starts at near last, because he took the grid penalty and he was eliminated in qualifying when a bad timing on the red flag. And when it comes to main race, Lando Norris botched yet again the race starts. So Lando Norris his race pace is good. He is very strong, but he's very weak at the race starts. And when he was given the order, whereas Max is moving up very quickly, and Lando tells him where's Max, and he had to worry about him, and now he tells where he is, and Max is mad, and Lando is getting mad. And then the rain started to hit harder. Lando and George pitted at the same time. Max stayed out. And then basically, the red flag came at the right moment, the right time for Max Verstappen, and basically Lando got screwed big time on the unlucky red flag, and he was in the top 5, chasing down for a podium, but then he made a big mistake by going wide in the turn 1 because of the bad weather. While Max, he is very good at wet weather conditions. He pulls away from everybody, and he won the race from 7th on the grid. And then basically Lando, after the race, he is completely anger, in which Max, he won by luck, not talent or something. And so by season's end, nothing changes. Lando wins the finale, and McLaren, they secured themselves their first Constructors' Championship since 1998. And that was a huge boost for the team. As a result, they beat Red Bull's dominating season in the ground effect of 22-23 because Checo Perez was very bad. McLaren got the edge, and he beat Ferrari in the Constructors, and they won a big full price of money. And Lando Norris on the radio says, "Next year will be my year." Until 2025, they have built a championship challenging car, which is what we are now. In round 1, Lando was ahead of Oscar, and when Oscar was pushing, and he was closing on Lando, he was given the order to hold position not to attack Lando, but and now a few laps later, now he got told to you're free to race, and that is a very questionable radio call for why Oscar is not permitted to attack Oscar. I mean, that's a questionable order of Oscar not to attack Lando. Anyway, the Australian Grand Prix, he wins the season opener, and it seems this could be the year that he could win his first championship. And then, the rounds comes by, Oscar Piastri took the turn. He basically started to win races and making a big tear in the championship. And he overtook Lando in the championship battle. And then later, he finished second fiddle in Bahrain. He finished second fiddle to Oscar Piastri in China, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Miami, and Spain. In Monaco, he won basically literally for nothing. There were no even overtakes, nothing at all. And in Canada, things were ending up ugly. In the final laps, both Oscar and Lando got DRS from Kimi Antonelli, and neither of us going to give up his position. Lando was clearly faster than Oscar, but Oscar's not going to buy that, as he is trying to make a push for a podium. And by the main straight, Lando, instead of going to the right where there was an open wide area to overtake, he goes to the left, he hits Oscar, and ended his race. As a result. And that was the first time where Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris touch each other on track. While Oscar finished fourth. But it was a huge blow and the big turning point between the two, Oscar and Lando, in the championship. And later races, Oscar was clearly quicker in the past two races in Austria and Great Britain. Oscar, in the last stages, he was quicker. He tried everything to dive bomb Lando to overtake, and the radio told him, take it easy. But I bet he ignoring it. While Lando, he goes back-to-back wins because of Great Britain. Oscar got a 10-second penalty for moving dangerously under the safety car. I don't know what penalty is called. He nearly wrecked Max Verstappen, and he got 10-second penalty in Great Britain after he had a dominating performance. While Oscar, he was told to basically just, which is an unfair 10 seconds, he told him to Lando to hold back and not lose position. But the radio for Oscar says, no, we are clean to race. And Oscar got screwed from the race win as well. Belgium. Lando took pole. He botched. Well, he didn't technically botch the race start this time. He forgot to deploy the battery or something, and then he gets the overtake, and Oscar pulls away. He survived Lando's hard charging, and he loses ground. But Hungary, Oscar was clearly quicker. He was bad at the first part, but after the fresher tires, he took a gamble, and so Oscar took a 2-stopper while Lando, he was on a 1-stopper. And Lando, he lost time, and Oscar doing everything he can. He goes for the dive bomb twice, but very close to getting hit each other, almost ending their races. In the Netherlands, Oscar was leading, Lando was second, and then by literally at the final stages of the race of the Netherlands, his car, the engine, completely blown to bits, and it was in McLaren. It wasn't the engine issue; it was the chassis. So I don't know what it's called. Oscar took the win, and after the summer break, Max Verstappen basically he is finishing podiums, race podiums after podiums after the summer break, as Italy. Max was quick because he had very good straight line speed in McLaren, and Lando was in second and Oscar was in third, and there were no battle up front, and they're gonna see who pits first. Is it Oscar or Lando who will pit first? And then when Lando was asked to pit, Lando told his engineer to Oscar has to pit first. So basically, Lando told the team to pit Oscar first, and then I'll pit the last. And so Oscar got a good pit stop, while Lando he got a terrible botched pit stop, in which none of them were his fault. They had a bad pit stop, and so with that, Oscar got the undercut, and he overtook Lando Norris on track. And this time, things are turns for the worst. Oscar, the team order told Oscar to give the position back to Lando after basically like the so-called Hungary last year, because for an so-called unfair moment, and Oscar he did not want to, but he did comply, and he gave up second place to Lando, and everybody started criticizing McLaren for it, and possibly Lando the McLaren are favoring Lando literally often, literally like there was no reason for a switch over. Like they could have just simply just let them race, since these two are battling for the championship hard. But they wanted to put the team for interest first. And in Baku, there was nothing much in Baku. Oscar got DNF, and Lando had a terrible, terrible race. He finished 7th while Max wins again. Singapore, McLaren they touch yet again, and this time Lando hits Oscar, and then they review the footage, and there was no further action. And Oscar wants a position swap, but then the team doesn't want to. And that is where Oscar Piastri now he feels like he's getting screwed over by McLaren right about now, as McLaren they are prioritizing Lando to basically get back in the championship out for so-called title fair, because the DNF that Lando took, that's basically an unfair. And so it's like it is a meme where I saw the post of a meme on Instagram, basically Lando DNF'd, you have to DNF too to make this championship battle fair. And I feel like that right there, Oscar kind of was betrayed by McLaren. Like, this was supposed to be one-on-one battle, not for the battle between who gets he's getting favored with. And in Texas, um, Lando and Oscar both crash into each other. Yet, and this time, both cars are out of the race, this was in sprint. Um, and that basically just embarrassed, like, both McLaren are losing grounds in the championship, and they don't want to risk it. What happening like like what happened previously. Like in 2007, both Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton, both they are fighting each other for the championship, and Fernando basically he felt like he was betrayed. But they were given necessary equipment to Orlando to get for Fernando to get back in the championship battle against Lewis. And so in Kota, Lando was fast. Oscar, he was fifth. Oscar was nowhere near Lando. In Mexico, basically, Oscar got stuck. He tried to make progression by moving up. He finished fifth. He couldn't get past Oliver Bearman for fourth place, and Lando Norris, he was the star of his own. He won Mexican Grand Prix, literally like in the dominant fashion, and he now back in the championship lead for the first time since round 1, since round 2. Or maybe since round 4. And in Sao Paulo, basically, Lando wins in the most dominant fashion. He won sprint, while Oscar, he's out of sprint. Race score 0, and in the main race, Oscar, he made a daring move to pass Kimi Antonelli and Charles, and Oscar got a 10-second penalty for that incident, and he got screwed over by chance of finishing on the podium as a result. While Lando, he pulls away yet again, and he wins in Sao Paulo for the first time. And now as the championship thing stands, Lando leads by over 24 points over Oscar Piastri. And Max Verstappen's title hope starts to fade away. Max is like 49 points behind? Yeah, I think so. And Oscar, he's 24 points behind over Lando in 3 rounds left. And Max championship hope starts to lose ground, and Max needs a miracle to get back in the championship battle, because both Oscar and Lando, they're getting away, or should I say Lando himself, he's getting away. And then by heading to Las Vegas, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi to finish off the season, there's 3 rounds left. And then maybe Lando Norris could win his first championship. And now the bigger question is, do I hate Lando Norris? Do I really hate him for basically just thinking that he is gonna be a champion caliber, and then and hates for basically getting team favored by McLaren? Not really. I do not really hate Lando Norris. He's a very quick guy. He's young. He is a talented driver. He's gonna win many races and possibly many championships in the later years. He is now a championship contender, and now he doesn't make botched race starts. He he is now matured, and he makes tons. He makes research in the summer after the summer break, and so for me, I don't hate Lando. He's a very he's a cool guy. He is quick. He's fast, and he's going to likely beat Max Verstappen. He's going to be the first driver to beat Max Verstappen, and his reign of domination. But we'll never know. There's 3 rounds left, so there's plenty of time. Uh, and McLaren's they're not very good at Las Vegas. They're very weak in that track, as I've seen the last two. Qatar, the track is decent for them, so they can have a very good aerodynamical advantage. While Max's car has a straight line speed advantage, the car is low drag on the straights, and so yeah, McLaren and now they're back in the championship fight for like it was before, and McLaren they're gonna their last champion of a McLaren was Lewis Hamilton in 2008. That was the last time where McLaren won their drivers' championship, and McLaren's got the constructors' championship back to back for the first time since 1988, 1989, and win multi championships in a row since late 80s and early 90s. It's great that McLaren they're back on top. 10 years ago they were disaster with Honda by saying GP2 engine, GP2 R. And now 10 years later, they're now they built the best car they built in a long time, and then they haven't got a title sponsor since Vodafone in 2013, and now next year they got themselves their title sponsor of Mastercard McLaren F1 team. So that's gonna be the first title sponsor in over a decade, and we'll see how they can do on the new car regulations and the engine regulations, as they might be the dominant force, but there are new teams and new manufacturers coming to the sport of Audi, Ford, and returning Honda, and a brand new team joining of Cadillac F1 team, and the returning engine Honda, they might go to Aston Martin, and McLaren, they have signed the customer deal until 2029 or so, or maybe they extended. Hold on a minute. Let me see how long they extended. Okay, so McLaren they extended to be the Mercedes customer until 2030. So they got 5 years to make a use of that engine power unit of Mercedes, and they might stay as a customer, or they might go to main works. But the main works is gonna be expensive, but being a customer is gonna be a cheaper option, and so We'll see how McLaren goes in the future when they could be the dominant force. They went from a bad marker team 10 years ago to now becoming a championship winning contenders 10 years later in 2025. And so this could be this going to be the this team is going to be the most reckoning with in the next decade. Heading in the next decade in 5 years or so. So anyways, will Lando Hayes gonna go? I doubt it, but before I go, people basically during the people races, in the parade, when Lando getting introduced, all the fans they're getting booed into oblivion. Like in the social media, they're getting angry fans on their email on the social media, and if Norris wins the championship, well, I'll be fine with it. But I don't know. I wanted to root Oscar Piastri or Max Verstappen to stop Lando's dominating final stages, but we'll see. Lando get lots of booed every time he wins a race or get an introduction, while Max and the other teams are cheering, but Max gets the most cheered, while Lando gets the most booed. It's like Roman Reigns in 2017, where all the fans booed him and get tons of hate, but later they love him now. But so in the end, I don't hate Lando. He's a very cool guy. He's tough. He's a fast driver. He is a main threat in F1 for next year and for the rest of the future. Let's see how this one turns out. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys do enjoy it. We're gonna find out who wins in the end. And every point counts in the final rounds in Las Vegas, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi in their 75th anniversary. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys do enjoy it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone.